Hello Breakfast Club, Josh here from the channel ZZZ Giant Awake, and it's Saturday somewhere, probably not actually. It's pretty late, and this video with the internet connection that I have is going to take probably another 2 hours to upload, so it'll be very early to morning of wherever you're living, most likely. So this week we're talking about justice. Before I dive into that topic, I wanted to say thank you to Wayne Watley Jr. For the conversation, and I know that we'll continue to be friends as we are on YouTube, and so I'll see you around. So justice is one of those broad words that can mean a lot of different things depending on the context and circumstance and the person who's talking about it. So it can mean a lot of different things. I do want to talk about specifically two types of justice, and those two types are distributive justice, and the other type is justice as accountability. Distributive justice is played out in a lot of different ways, really dependent on like what society and what time in the human history you're living in. One thing that we don't always really consider when we think about like justice in the government is what the government's old primary purpose used to be, and it still is an important function of the government now, which is distributing scarce resources. In olden days, they used to mean very, very fundamental things such as food, water, land, cattle, stuff like that. We had to have some form of government to ensure that the commons weren't destroyed. And now all of this is essentially run by the private sector because we have a capitalistic setup. But there, of course, is some oversight involved. But the reason that I'm bringing up in today's society is that part of what the government is supposed to do is kind of bridge the gaps between the haves and have-nots. And it's because of that gap that we have people protesting today. It's because of those gaps that we get angry at the government and get angry at the current situation that we live in. An example of this, easy to pull off the top of my head, is in K-12 schools, the level of education available to you, or to your children in this case, is almost directly correlated with the level of wealth that the average citizen there has. And with graduate degrees like college, whether you can access that and have the ability to provide for a solid, stable future, or get a degree that helps you do that, you have to have a lot of money to throw at it, or be willing to go into debt for tens of thousands of dollars. And many people, even with the entire desire to go to college, just really can't afford to pause their life and everything else that's going on long enough to go to college. This is another example of the gap between the haves and the have-nots. And since I really have to keep this short because it's 2 o'clock in the morning where I'm at, that's where I'm going to call that part. But please leave some comments in the comment section telling me what you think about distributive justice. And the second type of justice that I wanted to talk about is kind of more like thinking of the criminal side, like when you've been wronged or when there's a tort or anything like that, is justice as accountability. The primary thing that, as far as what I want from my government, more than like punitive justice or like rehabilitation, is a justice system that is able to bring accountability. And kind of what that looks like is that the government is empowered to go and collect the people, or if I've been wronged, or if you've been wronged, or whoever has been wronged, to collect information about the people who have wronged or been wronged. And if there's a criminal case there, as we have through litigation or case law, that we're able to hold that person accountable. And same with civil cases. Like, I feel that is, when it comes to interpersonal relationships, that is a huge thing that the government facilitates, because otherwise there'd be the desire to get revenge. Because I'm able to have a process that might make things right, I don't need to go for revenge. I don't need to do mutually insured destruction with somebody who ripped me off. I don't need to go to their house and burn it down or punch them in the face or anything like that. The government allows me to recuperate my losses if I can demonstrate that in court. Now, I admit that justice as accountability is still fairly vague and easily interpreted. And it does have things that it leaves to desire as far as justice goes. I mean, I openly admit that that's not all compensating or all comprehensive. Now, if you have different versions of justice that you like, such as justice as rehabilitation, or justice as punitive damage, or punitive, like you caused someone harm or someone caused you harm so they deserve to actually have harm, not just you being able to recuperate the funds. Let me know what you think, because I'm interested in reading more about what you guys have in mind, and if you have any links that you think would be interesting to read, please leave those in the description, and me and hopefully the other hosts can help me out with that. Will approve those comments. Please subscribe if you liked this channel, or if you liked this video, or want to see people who are far better at making videos than I am. And yeah, thank you for watching. Take care.